Shalom, Israel. It's that time again. The I.S.U.P.K. under Commanding General Yahanna presents the Lord's 57th Annual Passover. That's right, the Lord's 57th Annual Passover, April 4th, 2026 in Houston, Texas. All Black, Hispanics, and Native Americans are commanded to observe the Lord's Passover. This will be the biggest Passover to date. You do not want to miss this. Fresh lamb, fresh wine, and bitter herbs as commanded by the Most High. Only $200 per person ages 17 and up. The biggest event of the year. There is only one Passover, and it's under Commanding General Yahanna. See you there, Israel. Shalom.
Train for war, men of war, and warlike apparel. Prefer our leaders, can't get between us. Watch where you stepping.
Hey, shalom, shalom, Israel. Yahweh Shemeshach Thumb to all the brothers. Yahweh Shemar Allah Thumb by Shem Shot to all the sisters. Let's go ahead, clap it up. Most High in Christ. Tonight is the closing of the Feast of PURIM. Last night, if you weren't with us, you missed out on a heavy class. And also, you better have watched Commanding General Yahanna's Black Watch last night as well, man. It was heavy. Absolutely heavy. Most High in Christ for another, being able to hold down another high holy day. Another feast, another memorial, the Feast of PURIM, right? Tonight is the closing. Last night, we got into the origins of Esther. Right, Esther was a sister from the tribe of Benjamin. Her cousin Mordecai, or Mardaki in the Hebrew. Also, Esther in the Hebrew is Hadassah. It even said it so in the Bible, right? In the King James Bible, the King James 1611. Get you a copy, right? In the book of Esther, we went over last night and during the opening of the feast, the origins of the sister, the origins of Mardaki, Mordecai, her cousin. How she came into power, right? Like most women, they come into power through who either their family lineage is or who they marry. And Hadassah is from the latter, right? She came into power because of who she married, right? This is a heathen king. This is taking place in the land of Persia, modern day Iran. You understand? And what's happening in modern day Iran is World War III. But thousands of years ago, during the days of Esther, there was no war, right? At the time we're reading about, there was no war right now. And this heathen king threw a party, like most heathen kings threw a party. And if you look in the Bible in Esther, the first chapter, and if you look in the book of Esther, it says his name is Ahasuerus. That is Xerxes, right? There were two famous Persian kings in the Bible. One was Darius and the other was Xerxes or Ahasuerus, right? Both of them Persian, both of them so-called what would that be, Ishmael, right? Ishmaelites. And these oppressors, these heathens, they had us in captivity, what you would call the Assyrian captivity. We were carried away from Babylon into Assyria. Everyone understand? And while we were in Assyria, while we were in the land of Persia, there was a sister, or first let's start with Mordecai. There was a brother by the name of Mordecai, and he had a cousin named Esther. And the Bible says that he rose up Esther as if she was his own daughter. Meaning what? This is his physical family. They're both from the same tribe. They're from the tribe of Benjamin. Everyone understand? And this brother raised her up because she didn't have a mother and father. Her mother and father were killed, just like your mother and father didn't raise you. Because just like today being in captivity, they were in captivity by a different name thousands of years ago. And before Assyria, it was Babylon. Before Babylon, it was Egypt. You understand? After Assyria, it was Greece, then Rome, right? Then in Africa, we had to flee in 70 AD. And now here in the Western civilization, Western side, Americas, Canada, we're in captivity under the Canadians, under the so-called white Europeans, the British Crown, in Jamaica under the British, in the West Indian Islands under the British, under the French, you understand, under the Portuguese, under the Spaniards, under the Europeans. Well, we've all, through these captivities, our curses have stayed the same. And just like the curse today of being raised without your father and mother, that sister Esther, she grew up under the same curses. She was a sister from the tribe of Benjamin who didn't have a father and mother. And so her cousin Mardakia, which I got to find what his name is in Hebrew. His name means something heavy in Hebrew, right? Something heavy in Hebrew. This brother raised her up like his own daughter. Everyone understand? And so now where we left off from yesterday was King Xerxes, or who the Bible calls Ahasuerus, and what was that? Esther chapter 2, the end of verse chapter 1 and the beginning of chapter 2. It said that he threw a party, and at this party, Esther was there. And the Bible says that these men, especially the king, these heathen, remember, these are heathens. These are not Israelite men. These are heathen men, people who are non-Israelites. And these kings, these princes, to be specific, they saw Esther and they saw her beauty. They saw the way she carried herself like only an Israelite woman can. Only a so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian woman can. And they were in awe of her. Just like the sister Shawashina that I was breaking down last night in class, during the time of, who would that have been under? The Greeks. And she was in the land of heathens as well. And these heathens had us surrounded. And they were going to kill us. And no men of the nation of Israel was going to go to war because of our cowardice. We fell cur to these heathens. This sister Shawashina walked into that room full of those heathen kings and princes, and they were in awe of her. This is documented in our history very well. There's something called the Tenjin Law in Louisiana back after the time during the Reconstruction, or after the time of slavery, during the time of Reconstruction, where they tried to limit the beauty of Black women in Louisiana. But that's something you can never do. When they are held gracefully, when they carry themselves modestly, that's just something you can never do. And because of that, sisters began to wear head wraps because the Tenjin Law prohibited women, Black women, Latino women, to have their glorious hair to be shown in public. So what did Black women do in 1860s, in the 1870s, and 1880s? They would wear head wraps, which is our culture. And so these white women, these oppressors in Louisiana, they started to complain, and they said, well, we don't want them to wear head wraps like that. Because what they began to do is they started to embroider their head wraps with gold embroidery, having decorations all on it. What is the point of these stories I'm pulling? Is to show you that a righteous Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian woman who carries herself modestly, dresses modestly, she has the spirit of an aged woman, a sister who's heavy and not light. That type of sister, I don't care where she goes, everyone is going to notice her. Everyone, whether it's 1866, 2026, or during the time of Ahasuerus, Xerxes, a sister will be noticed because of the way she carries herself. And this king was no different. And so he looked at her, even though there were other women in his lot. There were a lot of women. And this king saw Esther out of everyone. Remember that. Now, this is where we're picking up from tonight. All right, let's go to the book of Esther. So let's go ahead and clap it up. And also, if you have any questions, anyone that's watching online, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask, right? Also, make sure you are signing in for the young brothers and sisters to earn credit for your Hebrew name. All right, let's go. We're in the book of Esther, and we were in chapter 3. I'm sorry, we were still in the book of, we were still in Esther chapter 2, not chapter 3 just yet. So let's get it. This is Esther chapter 2. As a matter of fact, let me see something. What I'm going to do is I'm going to share the screen now that I can, and I'm going to put the verse up on the screen so everyone can see. All right, let's go. Give me 1 second. Right, we're in the book of Esther chapter 2. All right. Esther 2, and well, hold on. Instead of using the blue letter Bible, I'm gonna go to a different one. I'll go to, that way this is a lot bigger. That way everybody can see it. All right, now let's get it. This is Esther. All right, let's go to Esther chapter 2. And I'm sorry, chapter 1. Yeah, do chapter 2. Let's do chapter 2. Esther chapter 2. All right, we're going to start at verse 17. All right, let's go to Esther chapter 2 and verse 17. Here we go. Now I'm sharing the screen where everybody can see it. All right, let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. Here we go. Here we go. Most High in Christ. All right. Can everyone see that? Right. Shalom to the sister Yahweh Shemal Tabashim Shah. What's going on, sister Matakwa Shah? How you feeling, sis? Let's do it like this. That's better. I like to do it like that. Okay. That's a lot better. All right. So now we're in the book of Esther, chapter 2 and verse 17. And the king loved Esther above all the women, and she obtained grace and favor in his sight more than all the virgins, so that he set the royal crown upon her head and made her queen instead of Vashti. Vashti was some heathen girl, right? Verse 18. Then the king made a great feast unto all his princes and his servants, even Esther's feast. And he made a release to the provinces and gave gifts according to the state of the king. And when the virgins were gathered together the second time, then Mordecai sat in the king's gate. Esther had not yet showed her kindred nor her people, as Mordecai had charged her. For Esther did the commandment of Mordecai, like as when she was brought up with him. It said Esther, Salakia, let me go back to this, right? Hold on. It says Esther did not do as her father. As when I say her father, meaning the brother who raised her like her father, her family, Mordecai, did not do as he commanded. You understand? Let's keep going. That's an important part to remember. Let's keep going. All right. Esther had not yet showed her kindred, nor her people, as Mordecai had charged her. For Esther did the commandment of Mordecai, like as when she brought up with him. In those days, while Mordecai sat in the king's gate, two of the king's chamberlains, Bigthan and Teresh, of those which kept the door, were wroth and sought to lay hand on the king Ahasuerus. And the thing was known to Mordecai, who told it unto Esther the queen. And Esther certified the king thereof in Mordecai's name. I'm gonna go over this. Just bear with me. And when inquisition was made of the matter, it was found out. Therefore, they were both hanged on a tree, and it was written in the book of the Chronicles before the king. After these things did King Ahasuerus promote Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite, and advanced him and set his seat above all the princes that were with him. Now, this is what's so heavy. As you can see, somebody out there. Okay, I'll get the door in just 1 second. All right. As you can see, Shalom, sis, Yahweh Shemal Tabashim Shah. All right. As you can see, there were two men who were trying to plot to unalive this king Xerxes. And what happened was Mordecai heard about it. And so what did Mordecai do? And remember, why is Mordecai doing this? That's what you always want to remember, right? Give me 1 second. Oh, give me 1 second. Hey, shalom. Hey, shalom, sis. Shalom. This is y'all right now? Right now. I'm sorry. You're not supposed to be on the link. Okay, both sides of Christ. All right, Salakia. Go ahead, clap it up. Clap it up. Most High Christ. All right. So this brother Mordecai, he made sure that the king found out about this plot against his life. Why? So that his so that Esther, the sister he raised like a daughter, so that she can get more power. Now, why is it that Mordecai wants Esther to get all this power? He wants her to get this power for our people. This ain't a Dr. King, Jesse Jackson. Jesse Jackson just passed away 2 weeks ago. And men like him, Al Sharpton and Martin Luther King Jr., they did what they did so that they can get power for themselves. This brother Mordecai, just like in the Apocrypha, who was that? Judas Maccabees. When they did the noble acts that they committed, it wasn't just for themselves. It was so that their people can also receive power, so their people can receive safety, right? Mordecai is trying to secure power for his nation. But remember what it said in a few verses above. It said that Esther, she didn't remember her people, right? Just keep that in mind. Remember that, all right? Let's keep going. This is Esther chapter 3. Keep my reading. This is Esther. We're in Esther chapter 3. You can start at verse 1.
Oh, God. This is the book of Esther, chapter 3, verse 1. After these things did King Azar-Salaki. How you say that name, sir?
You can say Asherus.
Asherus.
Mm-hmm.
After these, Asherus promote Haman, the son of Hamadias.
And also, if I could, on that point to what the story we just read about that inquisition that was staged against this king, Asherus is Xerxes. I'm going to call him Xerxes just because that's what the world knows him. He has a world famous name. He's even depicted in that movie 300, right? The Spartans fought against them. And they've always been known, the Persians were always known to have this great, big, massive army. I'm talking about bigger than the Egyptian army. They said that whenever they marched, they would march with elephants. They had this gigantic, it's depicted in the movie 300. That is historically accurate based on the text and the chronicles that were written and taken down by the scribe. Well, listen, here's what's so heavy about Mordecai. That story of Mordecai is written in their record. It's written in their chronicles. That's what the Bible just said in, what was that? Chapter 2 and verse 21. It said that Mordecai's actions against that inquisition, him warning the King Xerxes, the king of Persia, that's recorded in their history. It's written in the chronicles of the Persians, meaning what this Jew did, what this black man did, it's taken into account by the nation of heathens who had us enslaved. Yeah, everyone understand? This is how hardcore this brother was, right? Keep going.
Haman, the son of Hamadath.
Haman.
Haman, the son of Hamadath, the Agagite, and advanced him and set his seat above all the princes that were with him.
Now, what did this king do to reward this brother Mordecai? He put a so-called, now at this time, they weren't called so-called Jews. This cat, Haman, he wouldn't have been called a so-called Jewish man. He would be called an Agagite from Amalek. This devil, this white man, Haman, he is from the same lineage as Benjamin Netanyahu, right? Those so-called Jewish people who are dwelling in our land right now, the land of Israel, part of our land, the land of Israel, these are the people who Haman descend from. Today, he would be Benjamin Netanyahu. He would be, give me some more famous Jewish people. He would have the last name Rothstein or Rosenberg or Schwartz, Goldstein, Thawada. This is who he descends from. Why is that so important? Because just a few captivities ago, before we were even in the Babylonian captivity, when we were in the land of our own, had laws of our own, and King Saul was in charge, the Most High God ordered King Saul to go unalive the village, I guess you would call it the village of Amalekites. He was ordered to go and slaughter and wipe the memory of that village or that group of Amalekites before we even got to Haman. So remember that. This Haman would have never been written in the records or the history books if King Saul just would have did what he was told to do. If he followed the order and did what the Most High commanded him, which was to go salt the earth of those Amalekites. Now, did it say all those Amalekites, meaning will there be no Jewish people left? No, that's not true. And sometimes that gets misconstrued through history. You think as you come into the truth, when the Most High God gave the commandment to King Saul to go and unalive the Amalekites, he was not talking about every Amalekite. he was specifically referring to the Amalekites that slaughtered the hind parts of us as we marched out of Egypt. This cat that we're about to read about, who was just as terrible as Donald Trump, which is so apropos to today, because we're living in a time where we're ruled by a man who is in the Epstein files, who's going to war, who's sending your sons and daughters to die, all because of a secret that he has that he's in the Epstein files. This cat Haman is just as evil, but he would have never been so if that brother Saul followed his order and did his duty. Just remember this as we're reading this story, and as we're reading, continue to go on about how terrible Haman was to the children of Israel, how terrible he was to the Jews, the ordinances he passed to have us killed if we didn't eat pork, to have us killed if we weren't just as lustful as the people who ruled over us. Remember, he would have never been around had Saul carried out his duty. Why is that so important? Because you should obey the Most High God the way Saul should have. Saul made a terrible mistake and he disobeyed the Lord. Right. And him disobeying the Most High God cost his race of people their lives, literally. By you not doing what you're supposed to do, you hurt your brothers and your sisters. That's a lesson that you have to understand. If you get high and you smoke cigarettes, or you have sex with whores, or you're somebody who abuses women or abuses children, or you're a woman who whores on her husband, you're not just hurting yourself. You're not just hurting your family. You're hurting your people. Always remember that what you do affects your nation. And King Saul didn't understand that, but he will. He did. He ended up understanding it when King David, when he was put to death and he began to get plagued by demons. The Most High God will have Saul be plagued by demons so intense that King David had to come and play that harp and strum that kinnor so that those demons would free from his mind. He was plagued by demons until his last breath, all because of his disobedience. And now we're about to read about a king who would have never existed had King Saul carried out his duty and obeyed the Most High. Keep going, Cornelia.
God. Esther chapter 3, verse 2. And all the king's servants that were in the king's gates bowed and reverenced Haman. The king had so commanded concerning him. But Mordecai bowed not.
Read that part again.
But Mordecai bowed not.
Keep going.
Nor did him reverence.
You see, like this brother Mordecai has something called, I shouldn't say that word. General Muhammad don't want us to say that word, respect. He didn't have respect. I was going to say he had something called self-respect, but I could just say dignity, right? This brother Mordecai has something called dignity and honor. He honored the Most High God and loved the Most High so much that he wasn't going to bow for some heathen that was not Christ, that wasn't a king that the Most High God has set up. This is some heathen who hates black people, who hates Latinos and hates Native Indians. He'll be damned if he bow for someone. First and foremost, he ain't bowing for somebody that's not his race of people. That's something that I don't understand about black Christians in the world who vote for white people. You're voting for a person who doesn't have your best interest. He's not even from your family. And what do? Kiss his ring finger, kiss his hand, and vote for him and give him love and kindness? You're not supposed to do that to some heathen. Mordecai was a better man than your pastor, a better man than your father. Your father voted for Barack Obama, who's an African. An African is who shot up Austin, Texas 2 days after that goddamn Iranian missiles dropping. He shot up Austin, Texas, ATX, just a day after that whole Iran, America, Israel conflict. He shot up Austin, Texas, some African like Barack Obama. And what did you do? Voted for him, loved him. Mordecai was better than you, better than your preacher, better than your father. He had something called dignity and honor. That's what he had. Integrity, something that is lost in today's time. He refused to bow to this bastard. Keep going, Cornelia.
Verse 3. Then the king's servants, which were in the king's gate, said unto Mordecai, why transgressest thou the king's commandment? Verse 4. Now it came to pass when they spake daily unto him, and he hearkened not unto them, that they told Haman to see whether Mordecai's matters would stand, for he had told them that he was a Jew. Mm-hmm. Verse 5. And when Haman saw that Mordecai bowed not, nor did him reverence, Then was Haman full of wrath. Verse 6. And he thought scorn to lay hands on Mordecai alone, for they had showed him the people of Mordecai. Wherefore Haman sought to destroy all the Jews that were throughout the whole kingdom of Ashurus, even the people of Mordecai.
Like he was this heathen Haman, this Amalekite, Benjamin Netanyahu. This cat here sought to kill all of us simply because Mordecai didn't bow to him. That's how full of himself. That's how much hubris this devil had. That's just like Trump. Trump is full of that that arrogance, that just like, God, my God, there's nobody better than you. So you're going to kill an entire race of people. You're going to exterminate them. Especially, it said, especially the people of Mordecai. Who are the people of Mordecai? The Benjamites. Remember, Mordecai was a Benjamite, and so was Esther. He was going to slaughter the Benjamites. He was going to slaughter the Israelites, the Jews, and especially the Benjamites, simply because the man who descended from their people didn't bow to him. That's some Donald Trump stuff right there. That is what Donald Trump does the same thing. Remember, when he first started to send ICE into these cities, remember this. Remember, I said this. Remember, the UPK taught this. When Donald Trump first began to send ICE into these cities, the first place he sent it to, I think, was New York or DC. When you look at what the first city was, the city or the state that he first sent these ICE agents into, he said when he got elected that the people who didn't vote for him, he was going to make them pay. You can just look this up. He said this out loud like he does every stupid thing that comes out of his mouth. He said that the people, the cities, the mayors and the governors from the states that did not vote for him, that weren't blue, that weren't red and weren't Republican, he was going to make them pay. And because they didn't vote for him, he slaughtered Latinos in the streets for 2 years, for a year, for 18 months. He slaughtered 5-year-olds, arrested a 5-year-old Latino boy just so he could get used for bait to get their father out the house, to get their father off the job, arresting elementary school Latinos. I thought they were going after criminals. They're at a high school and an elementary school and a middle school. That's Donald Trump. All because the state or the city didn't vote for him. Talk about hubris. Talk about self-righteousness. Talking about being full of yourself. This cat is so full of himself that when somebody doesn't vote for him, he's going to make them pay. Brother, that's this oppressor we're reading about now, the Bible, in the book of Esther, Haman. All because Mordecai didn't bow to him. And when they asked why he didn't bow, back in verse 3, it says, then the king's servants, which were in the king's gate, said unto Mordecai, why transgresseth thou the king's commandments? He said, the matters would stand, for he had told them he was a Jew. They inquired, like, why didn't you bow? We all had to bow. He said, because I'm a Jew. We don't bow for no man. We don't bow, especially not for some heathen. Like Farrakhan. I think Farrakhan, didn't he kiss the Pope's hand? He kissed the Pope on the cheek and bowed to the Pope. This is your black leader who was a black leader in our community for 60 years. And he bowed to a white man. I thought the black Muslims were supposed to be so militant and hate white people. Meanwhile, your leader is kissing the ring and the cheek of the Pope, some Italian Roman. We don't do that. We don't bow to some heathen. We don't bow to some man, some heathen man. All because that's like if Donald Trump made a decree that all of us should bow. Do you really think that we are bowing in the UPK to Donald Trump? That's what he wants you to do now. Donald Trump wants you to kiss his behind. That's what he wants. He wants you to kiss his behind. He wants you to say, oh, glorious Donald Trump, you're the best. That's what he said in that speech, the State of the Union. He lied and said, they keep coming to me saying, oh, Donald Trump, why are we winning so much? We just can't stop winning. We're just winning. We're winning so much. This is Haman. That's the same spirit that's on heathens all around the globe. They want you to kiss their behind like they've done something so special, like they deserve to be praised. Donald Trump has done nothing deserving of praise, and neither did this King Haman. Keep going, Kunaya.
Verse 7, in the first month, that is, the month Nisan, in the 12th year of the king of Asuris, they cast pur, that is the lot, before Haman from day to day and from month to month, to the 12th month, that is the month Ador. Verse 9. And Haman said unto King Assur, there is a certain people scattered abroad and dispersed among the people in all the province of thy kingdom, and their laws are diverse from all the people. Neither keep they the king's laws. Therefore it is not for the king's profit to suffer them. Verse 9.
Like this cat here, he's going and just snitching. Man, it's a race of people who they keep their own laws.
Right.
They don't keep your laws. They keep their own laws. They don't serve your God. They don't worship you as a God. They have their own God. Right. They love their own power. They don't worship you as a power. That's why they didn't bow to me. Can you believe that? This is how, you know what's so heavy about this story of Esther? When you read the Bible and you see, you had something you want to say, Q?
Nah.
Okay, so I thought you were raising your hand. When you read the Bible and you look at these stories like of Esther right now with Haman and Xerxes, when you read these captivities and some of these cats that were in these even in Egypt, the second Pharaoh, not the first one. The first one was kind to us. When you read these stories and you listen to the way that these heathens who are over top of us, the way they talk about us, it just brings it home to me every time you read. Like whenever you open this Bible and you see the way that these heathens, these other nations refer to us, it just always makes me think this is how they talk about us now in those board meetings and those city council meetings and those mayoral meetings and those gubernatorial meetings. Up there in Chicago, they got something called an alderman. I don't even know what the hell that is, but they have it in Chicago. And Chicago, for the last 109 years, according to the Department of Justice, they are the most corrupt, politically corrupt city in America. For the last 109 years, Chicago is the most politically corrupt city in America. More than New York, more than DC, more than Miami. This is how they discuss us in those meetings. When they're discussing who should we choose to be the new black leader. This was in the document. It's called the, what did J. Edgar Hoover do? The COINTELPRO. This is in COINTELPRO. Can you look me up that quote that he said, we can never have another black Moses? Can you find me that quote, Bobby Bushah?
Oh, God.
Right? This is what white people who are in power, this is how they think about us. This is what they say about us in those meetings. As your black leader is trying to go in there and change the system is already designed so that we can never be in charge, so that we will always be oppressed. That's what your black leader doesn't understand. Your black leaders like Dr. King, your pastor, your imam, your political leader, they are all in cahoots with the white power structure, with white supremacy. That's what's so important to understand. They're not going in there to get in there to change the system. Your black leaders are getting in there so that they can be a part of the system that oppresses you. They want to make money off the private industrial prison complex too. They want to make money off of Planned Parenthood, just like Donald Trump, just like Bill Clinton, just like Margaret Thatcher, Margaret Thainer, just like Margaret Sanger. They want to be in cahoots with the same people who are running scams and oppressing us and benefiting off of our murder, our death, and our ignorance. That's what your black leaders are doing. They're not getting in there to change the system. They're not a righteous man like Mordecai or like Judas Maccabees or like Eleazar. They're not righteous black men, Latino men. That Latino brother, Cesar Chavez, he was a sellout. He wanted to unionize with white people to keep Mexicans from Mexico from coming up here and getting the jobs that the Tejanos or the Chicanos were promised. He was a Latino Dr. King. He sold out La Raza. He didn't want the Issacharites from Mexico to come to California and get those jobs. He said in an interview, he believed those jobs was for the homegrown Mexicans. He was another sellout. And they got his poster up for Mexican History Month. They got his poster up in Mexican households, just like how we do with Dr. King. We got sellouts from all the 12 tribes, sellouts from every tribe. There was a sellout in that room at Appomattox after the end of the Civil War. it was not Cornell Parker, but his name was, it was either Cornell or his last name, Eli Parker. He was a sellout that fought for the Union Army. And Ulysses S. Grant, who later became the president of the United States, had him draw up the terms of surrender. When Robert E. Lee and the Confederacy, they were in the same building in the Appomattox Courthouse with the Bluecoats, the Union. And this sellout, this Native Indian sellout, when they said to him, it was Robert E. Lee told Ulysses S. Grant, he said, well, at least there's a real American in the room. You know what this Native Indian said, this Uncle Tomahawk said? He said, well, we're all real Americans. We're all real Americans. He said that about 2 white people who hated North American Indians. Just for those of you who don't know history, both the Union Army and the Confederacy hated Gad. That's the reason why after the Union won the Civil War, who employed the Buffalo Soldiers? Was it the Confederacy? Was it the Grays? Or was it the Blues up north? It was the Union Army. And specifically Ulysses S. Grant. He was the president who gave the order to eradicate the North American Indian. He was one of the many presidents, along with Abraham Lincoln, along with Ulysses S. Grant, along with Herbert Hoover, along with Teddy Roosevelt. Teddy Roosevelt fought against the goddamn North American Indians. Andrew Jackson was the one before he was president who put the North American Indians from Florida to Oklahoma on the Trail of Tears. Meanwhile, this coon Eli Parker is in the room with Robert E. Lee and Ulysses Grant writing up the terms of surrender. And Robert E. Lee said, he tried to get a brother a compliment. He said, well, at least there's one real American in the room. Right. Well, we all are real Americans. That's that rainbow coalition. Let's all join hands and hold hands and sing together in the love of brotherhood. That Dr. King Christian garbage. Right. There's coons and sellouts of all the tribes. So your black preacher is no different than Cesar Chavez or Eli Parker. Go ahead. You had that quote?
The exact quote often referenced regarding COINTELPRO is prevent the rise of a Messiah.
That's what it is.
Who could unify and electrify the black militant, to electrify the militant black nationalist movement, which was a primary goal established by FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover in March 4th, 1968's memo.
Give him a hand. The water, Q. And when that sister comes up to the door, you open the door, Q. Listen.
I believe she gonna need some help.
Go ahead. If she need help, that's fine. You too are, but listen, what the brother just read is historically accurate. That's in America. This was in the 60s. Some of us got parents older than that. This is in the 60s. And this cat, J. Edgar Hoover, who was in charge of the FBI, he was the director in charge of the FBI. He made sure that there would never be some black radical who would, stir the pot, who would make sure black people had that integrity that Mordecai had, that Judas Maccabees had. He wanted to make sure he suppressed that emotion of hatred of your oppressor. That's something that's another thing that's so heavy. That cat Mordecai, this cat Haman that we're reading about in the Bible right now in the book of Esther, chapter 3. Do you really know the spirit behind why he wants to oppress the Israelites based on his experience with Mordecai? Because these heathens want to suppress the thing that is reserved for free men, and that's anger. There's one emotion you're never allowed to be, especially if you're a black man. You're never allowed to be angry, because anger is something that's reserved for free men, for Robert E. Lee, for Ulysses S. Grant. That's the reason why it's important to oppress that spirit of these are just crazy niggas talking. You see how angry they are? Well, why wouldn't we be angry? You're slaughtering our people in the streets. You're oppressing us. You're tearing apart our families. You're unaliving our babies. You're touching our children in the Epstein files. Why the hell wouldn't I be angry? Anger is something reserved for free men. And that's something the white power structure, that's something that white supremacy can never allow. You are not allowed to be angry ever. Because when you're angry, then you start to understand who the devil is. When you're angry, then you start to fight for your people. When you're angry in righteous anger, then in righteous indignation, now you begin to fight for your people, obey the laws of God, and you stop getting high, stop making whores out of your sisters, and you start producing successful Black families, Latino families, North American Indian families. That's the reason why you're not allowed to be angry. When you're happy or you're sad, you're allowed to be sad. You're allowed to be happy. Happy and sad people, if you're sad all the goddamn time and depressed, what are you going to do? Get high all day. That's what's going to happen when you're sad. When you're sad and lonely because you lost your son due to gang violence, when you lost your daughter due to a stripper pole, guess what's going to happen? You're going to get high all day. So you're allowed to be sad. Depressed people make the best drug addicts. When you're happy all the goddamn time, you're like Dr. King. Shalom, sis. When you're happy all the time, you're just like Dr. King. All you want to do all day and night is love white people because you're so happy. Just like that song, Travel Long If You Feel. What's that, Pharrell Williams? You're happy all the goddamn time. You're never angry. That's an emotion that you can feel when you're a slave. What happened? Okay. But when you're a free man, you're allowed to be angry. You're allowed to be angry at your oppressor. You're allowed to be angry at oppression. You're allowed to be angry at the white man. You're allowed to be angry at Planned Parenthood when you're free. That's something that is always discussed in these city council meetings. We got to make sure these niggas stay on dope. Right. We got to make sure they stay slaves, because if we allow, like J. Edgar Hoover said, like the brother just read, if we allow a Black Messiah, he will turn this people. He will make this people Black nationalists. Now, what is Black nationalism? It's just being an Israelite. That's what it is. A nationalist is someone who loves their nation. Right. And that is what every living thing loves. Precept. All flesh can sort to their own like. Right. All lions can sort to other lions. Are lions nationalists because they love other lions? Because they want to secure the dominance of their species for years to come? Is bacteria, I found out recently that if you take too much antibiotics, what is going to happen is you're going to produce super germs that are immune to those antibiotics. So whenever you get an infection, you get that antibiotic into your body, it just doesn't go away because that bacteria, that cell, is so immune to that antibiotic that it just mutates and it metastasizes, and now you have super sicknesses and illnesses. Is bacteria a nationalist because they're fighting for the dominance of their own species? Are rabbits, are they nationalists? Why in the hell does it have to be labeled something when it's nature? It's something that's normal. All flesh, all living things want their species to be dominant, want their race, want their nation to be dominant over everybody else. We do too. And if you're a free man, you do. But when you're a slave, you're not allowed to have that feeling. Somebody had something they wanted to say? Go ahead, Cornell.
It's kind of irrelevant, but it was talking about what you said. I just was going to bring up remember years ago, they were talking about the super gonorrhea. Mm-hmm. Because all those people were taking them
antibiotics, yeah.
But they wasn't finishing. They would take it halfway through. And then the gonorrhea,
it just lived.
It just lives and it just gets stronger because it's almost the same way that you would do a vaccine.
God,
to do a vaccine.
It's exactly like that.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
God, them genes or them super cells or those goddamn, that bacteria just grows and it learns the DNA of that disease or that whatever it's attacking, that immune system, it just learns it. And when you get all that, you just keep getting those antibiotics, it just grows and grows and learns and grows. And before you know it, you created some goddamn sickness that can't be cured.
Right.
So like, you go ahead.
That's how cancer works. When you get one little, they want to find it when it's only a little bit because that thing. When it
metastasizes, it's so hard.
Yeah.
Get a brother and sister head. Got super gonorrhea. Y'all brothers better stop having sex with whores, man. That's why I remember growing up hearing brothers talk about one night stands. I'm like, what in the hell are you, brother? I was too scared. I was scared to death to catch something. I wasn't out there like that. That's ridiculous. I got to damn know the woman I'm with. You just out there putting your rod in everything. And for a woman, you are taking a risk. You out there letting any man on top of you. Like, goddamn, you don't care about your health, which is what I was talking about last night when I brought out about how there are some people who just live a life of death. You mean to tell me that there's something out there called super gonorrhea, HIV, AIDS, chlamydia, herpes, and you're out there putting your mouth on everybody? My mom used to talk about mononucleosis. I'm assuming that's something that's old from her day. Mono. She said, you better not be kissing on those. You're going to get mononucleosis. And I didn't even know what mononucleosis was, but it sounds terrible from Satan himself. I'm not putting my mouth on everybody. I'm sorry. That's how someone who wants to live lives their life. When you don't want to live, you just out there doing God knows what. And there's a life that people live that you see it. You like, man, this cat just wants to die. He lives recklessly. She lives recklessly. That's someone who wants to die. Well, listen, man, in this school, we have a bunch of people who want to live. And not just live, we want to rule. We want our king to rule so that our tragedy ends, so that this tragedy of living life, being oppressed ends. Mordecai wanted the same thing, man, which is why he raised his sister Esther to remember her people. But just like so many Black, Hispanic, and Native Indians that get in power, you tend to forget where you come from. That's one thing. That sister Melissa Johnson, Melissa Johnson, our city's prosecutor. That sister, one thing I can say about her, and you don't really see this amongst Black people that have power, that sister remembers where she comes from. You can tell that sister is doing her job. There's a type of Black person who's in a mayoral position, like the brother Eric Mays up there in Detroit. That brother was doing his job. And I always like Black people that are like that. Don't get a job and start acting like you head nigga in charge, trying to prosecute every nigga you can, right the street. Like you are a Black person in a position and you're just doing your job. But it's a type of Black person like Dr. King or some Black person like Jesse Jackson who gets in a position of power and abuses it against his people. Right. Or she abuses it against her people. But then there's a person that can, like Joseph in the Bible. Right. Joseph was the vice president of Egypt. He didn't get in office and started to terrorize the nation of Israel where he come from. He helped his people more than he helped anybody else. That's in the Bible. He made sure that Goshen, the land that he came from of Israel, the land right off of Egypt that we lived, he made sure that his family and his people were taken care of. He made sure they were stocked up for the winter. He made sure, say it again, Q.
I was saying, actually had a right to treat them bad after they did.
Yeah, he did.
But what the scriptures say, repay evil with good.
Con. And we talked about that last night too. Yeah, get a brother a hand. That brother, he exuded brotherhood. And he had every right to treat his brothers that sold him into slavery terribly. But he didn't. Instead, he said, this is my family, this is my people. Right. And there are certain Black people who are absolutely use their office to abuse their people. I mean, they do it all the time. Your mayor, this Quentin Lucas, I can't stand him. I can't stand him. And I'm not saying he's abusing Black people. I'm not going to be litigious, but I am going to say that this cat Quentin Lucas doesn't look out for his people. But there's a person that gets in office who makes sure that their people from where they're from are sound. That's Sister Melissa Johnson. She's like that here in Kansas City. The prosecutor of Kansas City, Eric Mays, was like that up there in Detroit. There are Black people, Marion Barry in D.C. There are Black people who get a mayoral position or gubernatorial position, or they're a leader at the job, some lead man or supervisor at the job, and they make sure they look out for their people. They don't have to be overboard or extra, and they damn sure don't have to be the opposite. And now they flipped on their people and say, all you niggas, you like, I can't, don't be a sellout. That's right. Called a sellout. Don't be a sellout. You be a brother or sister who gets in a position and you remember where you come from. That's just Melissa Johnson still lives down there in the 30s. That sister is down there with her people all the time. She ain't looking to lock up just niggas and Hispanics. She's looking to lock up criminals because that's her job. And she's not going to go overboard with the sentencing like some Black prosecutors have done, like white prosecutors do. Oh, we got to clean the streets of Kansas City. So what does that mean? That's code word for I'm going to prosecute every 13-year-old Black boy in Kansas City and give him 30 years to life at 15 years old. That's what cleaning the streets up means in inner cities. I'm going to lock up these niggas in SPICs. Meanwhile, you got a sister who's our city prosecutor who's in what are they called? Who goes to events and different change for the city. She goes to these different types of events looking for solutions to solve a problem, to eradicate the root of the problem, instead of just locking all your Black and Hispanic sons up. Right. That's a sister who remembers where she comes from. Everyone understand. This sister Esther, she began to forget. She began to forget. Go ahead and read what you got, Kunal Yagabar. So like, sis, did you have something you want to say? Okay, I thought you had your hand raised.
Esther chapter 3, verses 8. So yes, it was verse 8.
Come.
Verse 8. And Haman said unto King Ahasuerus, no, it's verse 9. It's verse 9. Because we already talked, we read that.
God, you right. You're in verse 9. So like you.
Esther chapter 3, verse 9. If it please the king, let it be written that they may be destroyed, and I will pay 10,000 talents of silver to the hand of those that have the charge of the business, to bring it unto the king's treasury.
Boy.
I thought you was going to say something. Verse 10. And the king took his ring from his hand and gave it unto Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite, the Jews' enemy. Verse 11. And the king said unto Haman, the silver is given to thee, the people also, to do with them as it seemeth good to thee.
Good night. Y'all hear this? This cat here, brother Haman, was terrible to Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. I mean, literally, he was terrible. Like, he was willing to pay. Now, Donald Trump would have took that offer.
Right.
They say you pay Donald Trump, brother, you get out of jail free card there. They said if you got money, that's the reason why all those rappers, remember when he was letting out Kodak Black and Lil Wayne and reversing NBA YoungBoy sentence, that's because they label paid Donald Trump. Right. They said you get whatever you want with Trump as long as you got money. Said, boy, we had money, I'll be out there in them streets in the UPK, brother, doing vicious things to white people. So like, y'all just joking. But I know if I pay Donald Trump, all he cares about is money. That's just like, that reminds me of a quote from going back to Civil War history. That old devil, Jefferson Davis. Anybody know who Jefferson Davis was? I know if you're a nigga down south, you know. If you're black, or if you black down south from the tribe of Judah, I know you know who Jefferson Davis was. But you brothers and sisters up north in the Midwest, y'all forgot your southern roots. You forgot where you come from. Jefferson Davis was the president of the South during the Civil War. Right before the Civil War, when the southern states, succeeded from the Union. He was the president of the South. The nigga looked just like Abraham Lincoln, which is always something I find funny. He looked like an evil version of Abraham Lincoln. You had Abraham Lincoln in the north, and then you had like his evil little twin brother, Jefferson Davis in the South. Well, Jefferson Davis apparently didn't have race loyalty, which is why the Confederacy gave up on him at the turn of the Civil War. They didn't like him. His approval rating was like Donald Trump's right now, because white Southerners found out that he cared more about money than anything else. That's Donald Trump. You white people think that he cares about white people. You think he cares about you because you're white like him? Donald Trump don't care about nothing but money. That's why he let out black rappers. He don't care if you're a black rapper, Jewish, white man, or just a regular groove from the South. He don't care. He cares about money. This cat, Xerxes, was the same way. Xerxes didn't have no race loyalty. That's why Haman is playing. He's playing against him, saying, well, listen, I'll give you how many talents did he say?
10,000.
10,000 talents. To do what?
To destroy the Jews. To destroy the Jews.
Read what it says. Read what it says.
If it please the king, let it be written that they may be destroyed, and I will pay 10,000 talents of silver to the hand of those that have charge of the business, to bring it to the king's treasuries. He's saying what? What is Haman saying? He's willing to pay this money to destroy us. Right. He's willing to pay all this money just so blacks, Latinos, and Native Indians will be destroyed. If it please the king, let it be written that they may be destroyed, and I will pay good night the charge of the business to bring it into the king's treasury. Like, just charge it to the business. Right. We just gonna slaughter them. You know what this is exactly? This is apropos to right now, Israel, America
and what they're doing to the Iranians.
I was thinking that same thing.
Go ahead. You had something you want to say about it?
When I read it the first time, I was thinking that same thing. I was thinking, well, dang, ain't Jewish. We paying the Jewish people off so they can do this to Iran? Or
no, I was about to say vice versa. Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like we giving up this money. They giving up this money so that we can go to war for them. You know what I mean? And really, it's a circuit. I look at it as like it's a circular thing that America and the Jews are both making profit off of this. You know what I'm saying? Going against Iran.
They are.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So that's what I was thinking when I read this the first time. I was like, man, that sounds like what they doing right now.
That's exactly what, and it's so heavy because it's Arabs and white and Jewish people.
God.
Just like now. God. It's so heavy. It's like, man, I know they say history, it's a cliche phrase, history repeats itself, but that is the truth. Like what we're living has already been done before. Now, maybe not to the same extent, but it's been done before. And everyone knows that when you get in politics, it's all about money. That's how you get the power, right? If you have money, you get out of jail free. You got enough money, you know, which is the reason why I always look at black celebrities. Whenever black people say, well, this black celebrity got power, they would have never been in jail if they had real power.
Right.
White men in power don't go to jail. That's why Donald Trump is president and not riding in a prison like P. Diddy. P. Diddy don't really have power, right? He's a black person with a little more money than you. That's all you could ever be. That's why that phrase, I'm as free as I can be on a plantation, even as exists, because we are still slaves. And there is no black man, Latino or Native Indian man that has more power than any of us. We're all slaves here. And if our oppressor wanted to, he can do whatever he wants to us because we don't obey our God. Now, when we start obeying the Most High God, we keep his laws, statutes, commandments, guess what? Then we will have real power, which comes from the Most High God. But right now, come on, man. The white man can do it. He can release a virus and we will all be taken out. He can poison the food and we will all be taken out. We don't own it. We don't have power to do anything. That's the reason why you have black mothers screaming in agonizing pain whenever their son either gets shot by the police or go to jail by the police for something they didn't do. Why do they scream and they cry so much? Because they know that they don't have power to change the conditions of their son.
Right.
They know that there's nothing they can do to this police officer that just murdered their son. There's nothing they can do. They know that if they kill the police officer, either they're going to die or go to prison for the rest of their life. And they also know that if any of their family members try to do anything, the same fate awaits them. You don't have power. You see, real power is a police officer would never even think to unalive your child. They would say to themselves, you know, this is the Israelites. This kid is an Israelite. We can't touch them. That's what the Egyptians found out after the Most High God sent that death angel to Egypt. The Egyptians soon found out who really had the power. They were scared and terrified. The Bible talks about that. And they said to them, go, just go. Just take all of our gold, take all of our silver, take everything and leave. Leave us the hell alone, or your power is going to continue to wipe us out. That's real power. Real power is not marching. Real power is not voting. Real power is obeying the Most High God as a nation so that our God, our power will fight for us. That's real power. Then you won't be in jail. Then you won't die. The cops won't even think to arrest you. The Lord can release a disease on just police officers. And the cops will say, we only getting sick. We only dying when we shoot a black man. Let's stop killing black people. Let's stop arresting black people because clearly they have a power watching over them where we can't touch them. They're untouchable. That's real power. But so far, we don't have no power, man. You got black people who simply make more than other black people. And furthermore, those black people who are in those positions, they don't use the power they do have or the money they do have to help us anyway. P. Diddy never did anything for us. Neither did Michael Jordan. Neither did R. Kelly. We better forget about those black people with money and start looking at the poor of us and starting there, saving the poor of us and starting there. The young brothers and sisters who nobody cares about. You better start there. That's how you start a nation. Not by looking at the rich to save you. You better start in the projects, in the barrios, on the reservation. Now you have a real revolution. And that's something that Haman and Trump, that's something they don't want. That's something they would be afraid of. because they know with us obeying our God, the poor of us obeying the Most High God, just like in Egypt, God will fight for us now, just like he did then. Go ahead, Kornaya Gabar.
God. Verse 12. Then were the king's scribes called on the 13th day of the first month, and there was written according to all that Haman had commanded unto the king's lieutenants, and to the governors that were over every province, and to the rulers of every people of every province, according to the writing thereof.
Province.
What? Salakia.
You said providence.
Salakia, province. Salakia, let me go back. And to the governors that were over every province, and to the rulers of every people of every province, according to the writing thereof, and to every people after their language, in the name of King Ahasuerus, which was it written and sealed with the king's ring. Verse 13. And the letters were sent by post unto all the king's provinces, to destroy, to kill, and to cause to perish all Jews, both young and old, little children and women, in one day, even upon the 13th day of the 12th month, which is the month Adar, and to take the spoil of them for a prey.
Brother, this is the evil that we've been dealing with in every case. This is something I just don't ever understand. What is it going to take for our people to finally say enough is enough?
Right.
Like, how long is it going to take for Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians to see how cruel the master that rules over us is? They, once again, back to that power, they have the power to do this. We don't have any power outside of our God. So when you're living a life of sin, this awaits you. This awaits you. This king, all because he was hyped up by Haman, and all because Mordecai didn't bow to him. Remember, this is where it started. It started because Mordecai didn't bow down to Haman. And now because Mordecai didn't bow down to Haman, this bastard made an ordinance to unalive every Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian simply because he didn't get the honor he felt he deserved. And now they've passed a law to go and exterminate the children of Israel and then take the spoil of the children of Israel. This is what your oppressor has the power to do. He does it now. He did it in the 80s with the Iran-Contra scandal, back when they passed a law to sell us dope in the White House. That was a organized thing. That wasn't something that, well, you know, this is just something Ronald Reagan wants. This is something they all want. Everyone understand? Hey, shalom, mighty man. This is something they all want. This is why it was passed. This is why the law was passed, because the entire nation, they want for us to suffer. They want for us to die. Haman did the same thing to Xerxes. That bastard just passed this law. That's why I said it was sealed with a ring, because this is now in effect. So now if you're an Israelite, your life is in danger simply because you're an Israelite. And all this has to do with one man feeling slighted by Mordecai. That's how evil these oppressors are that rule over us. They want you to kiss their behind, man. They want you to live on your knees. That's what they want. Now they passed a law that all of us got to die. And then after they kill, all, not die, be murdered. And after all of us are murdered, then they take all of our spoils. Right. Keep going, Kornaya. You in verse 14.
Verse 14. The copy of the writing of a commandment to be given in every province was published unto all people, that they should be ready against that day. Verse 15. The post went out, being hastened by the king's commandment, and the decree was given to Shushan, the palace.
In Shushan.
Was given in Shushan, the palace. And the king and Haman sat down to drink, but the city Shushan was perplexed. Esther chapter 4, verse 1. When Mordecai perceived all that was done, Mordecai rent his clothes.
When it says rent his clothes, meaning he tore them up, he ripped them up. Like, imagine finding out that your people who live in this land with you, that are in this captivity with you, imagine you find out that they have an ordinance that they just passed, that the people who oppress your people, they passed a law to murder your people unjustly. You just found this out, brother. A righteous man will cry for that. A righteous brother or sister will absolutely be destroyed about that. Like when you find out about Planned Parenthood, when you find out about the crack epidemic, when you find out about child support court and how many of us are suffering in child support and these curses, brother, you absolutely will change your heart. You will change it. You will say, my God, oh Lord. You will begin to pray to any God. This is how heavy oppression is. Whenever a person is oppressed, brother, they're going to pray to a power. When you go to prison, those brothers become Muslim. Those brothers become Israelite. They become anything that is going to help them in their situation. That's how powerful oppression is. When you're oppressed enough, you say, God, please help us. There ain't no atheists in that day. When you see the detriment and the oppression and the violence against your people, you ain't an atheist that day because there's so much you can't take it. It's too overwhelming. Like when you listen to these Epstein files, brother, this thing here, I can't hear it no more. I don't want to listen to no more. I don't want to watch no more. Anybody that's talking about the Epstein file, I can't listen to all that stuff that these white men were doing to these babies. Like what they were doing to these kids. I have children. I can't listen to this because it's overwhelming. There ain't no atheists. You notice ain't no white people talking about atheism now with these Epstein files. They don't want their kid to be done to what Donald Trump and his cronies and Epstein did to their children. So they praying to any God. God, please don't let my kids be in any hands of these oppressors that are doing what they did in the Epstein files. Right. Ain't no atheists in 2026. Not with the Iran war, with World War III, with pestilence waiting around the corner, and what the Epstein files is readily available to read. There is no atheism. Everybody believes in some God now. You see how that works? You see how it works? Whenever you're oppressed enough, you're going to pray to somebody. You're going to pray, and you're going to have faith in. The key is not waiting until that day. Right. The goal is for you to do it now before it gets too late. So what happened? This brother Mordecai, in his righteousness, it said he rent his clothes, meaning he ripped his clothes. That's an expression of sadness and anger. He was so sad and angry about the condition of his people, he couldn't take it anymore. Keep going, Q.
And put on sackcloth with ashes.
Which is another expression of the Israelites, of how we used to do it of old. Whenever we were mourning meaning that we were sad, we lamented our people. Whenever that happened, we would tear the clothes off we had. The garments you had, you would just tear them off, and you will put ashes on yourself. It shows the Lord that you're lowering yourself. You're like so low to the ground. You're low to the ground, you're ashed out, and you have terrible clothes on. Sackcloth is like rags and tatters. It's like nothing. It's like having on just old raggedy clothes that slaves would wear. You just put that on and said, oh God. You would face the east and you would just say, you would fall on the floor and say, oh God, please help my people. Please help us. Save us. Lord, please. And these brothers and sisters will cry for days just full of ash, which is where they get that Ash Wednesday. Now Catholics literally put ash on their forehead because they're showing everyone they're in sadness or mourning over their king dying on the cross. They get that from our culture of they would literally take these ashes and just throw them on themselves. In some cases, some prophets they would cut their hair. They would just cut their hair, cut all the hair off there. They would just be near death is the expression. It's like, man, I don't care about living. I don't care about gold. I don't care about my clothes. I don't care about my appearance. Lord, help my people. That's how low I made myself. You had brothers that were kings that did this, like Hezekiah. He was a famous king of Israel that when he found out what his fate was, he just ripped his clothes. Saul did the same thing because you're so overwhelmed with sadness. This is the expression you see constantly in the Bible. You would rip your clothes, cut your hair, do whatever to make yourself look crazy as hell because you wanted to show the Lord, I'm lowering myself. I'm not some king of Israel anymore. I'm down here with the lowest people, lower than the low. And Lord, I want you to help me. I want you to save my people. Keep us bless us, help us. Don't keep the oppressor from murdering any more of my people. Jeremiah would write, like, I can't take this no more. Ezra was the same prophet. Ezra was the same way. He would tell the Lord, like, he was a prophet that was known for questioning the Most High so much because he was so sick of the oppression that his people suffered. So much so that he would ask God to the point that God would be angry with him. God was damn near anger with Ezra because Ezra would ask the Lord so many questions about when is this oppression going to stop? When I can't take it no more. When is it going to stop, oh Lord? Please let it stop. How long? How long? He would always go to the Lord asking the same thing because he was righteous in his spirit. He didn't want his people oppressed. Here's the more heavy thing. Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian people, you have to resist oppression the way that the men of God want the oppression to flee from us. That's something that is always overlooked. Like, there are brothers and sisters who absolutely love our people. They're in the UPK. But the brothers and sisters in the world, how much do you really want oppression to end? That's the better question. Because you have prophets of God who are going to the Lord every day, asking God to end oppression. But then you get high. Then you have sex with white girls. Then you are making yourself a whore, sis. How much do you really hate oppression? Do you really hate oppression? Maybe that's a good question to ask on the streets. Do you hate oppression? Because what are you doing to change your state? You mean to tell me that this white man has to pass a law to just murder all of us in order for you to stop getting high? Why does it have to take that? How about you look at Kai Gurley and Trayvon Martin and Sandra Bland and see what ICE have done to the Latino brothers and sisters and say, you know what, something is not right. I'm doing something wrong. Maybe it's me. Maybe I'm the reason why my people are suffering. That, brother and sister, is the way a real revolution happens. Right. That's a real revolution, changing of yourself. Now you start to see things like, man, I got to stop, get all this dope. I've been getting high since I was 13 years old. Let me stop. My God, these brothers are being put to death by ICE. They're putting Mexicans to death and they putting white people to death. ICE was so terrible this past winter, they killed white people. That's how vile and cruel they are. What do I have to do to end this misery of my people? This is Mordecai. He tore all his clothes off and just, God, please help us. Save us from this tragedy that's about to happen. Remember, this was stamped in law. Mordecai, the only power Mordecai had was to pray to God. This is all he can do, which is the reason why he raised Esther the way he did, so that she can get in power and help her people. But let's read what Esther is doing during this time, Kunaya. Let's read about her. Keep going.
And went out into the midst of the city and cried with a loud and bitter cry. Verse 2. And came even before the king's gate, for none might enter into the king's gate clothed with sackcloth. Verse 3. And in every province, whithersoever the king's commandment and his decree came, there was great mourning among the Jews and fasting.
What verse are you in, Kunaya?
Verse 3.
3 and 3 or 4 and 3?
4 and 3.
Okay, go ahead.
There was Salakia.
You can read it over from the top.
Verse 3. And in every province, whithersoever the king's commandment and his decree came, there was great mourning among the Jews, and fasting, and weeping, and wailing, and many lay in sackcloth and ashes.
We all are sad and depressed when we find out what's going to happen to our people. And remember, especially to Benjamin. Keep going.
Verse 4. So Esther's maids and her chamberlains came and told it to her. Told it to her. Then was the queen exceedingly grieved, and she sent raiment to clothe Mordecai. Salakia. So let me read that over.
You too hard, bro.
Okay. Verse 4. So Esther's maids and her chamberlains came and told it to her. Then was the queen exceedingly grieved, and she sent raiment to clothe Mordecai, and to take away his sackcloth from him. But he received it not. Verse 5. Then called Esther for Hatach, one of the king's chamberlains, whom he had appointed to attend upon her, and gave him a commandment to Mordecai to know what it was and why it was. Verse 6.
Go down to verse 10.
Verse 10. And Esther spake unto Hatach, and gave him commandment unto Mordecai. Verse 11. All the king's servants and the people of the king's province do know that whosoever, whether man or woman, shall come unto the king, enter the inner court, who is not called, there is one law of his to put him to death, except such to whom the king shall hold out the golden scepter, that he may live. But I have not been called to come into the king these 30 days.
This is Esther's response to her finding out about what this king is just passed a law to do to her people. She's saying, like, nigga, this don't apply to me. This applies to y'all. Y'all the ones in the ghetto and poverty, struggling and suffering. I live in the king's court. I have chamberlains and maids and my every beck and call. This has to do with you. This is what she, remember it said earlier that she sent raiment to her father figure, Mordecai, to her cousin Mordecai. She sent raiment to him because she knows her people's culture of ripping off those clothes and putting sackcloth on. So what does she do? She sent raiment to Mordecai. And then when Hatach came and told her, like, what are you planning on doing? What is going on? What are you going to do? Her response was, all the king's servants and the people of the king's province do know that whosoever, whether man or woman, shall come unto the king into the inner court, who is not called, there is one law of his to put him to death, except such to whom the king shall hold out the golden scepter, that he may live. But I have not been called to come into the king these 30 days. I ain't been called to come into the king. What good could I do? This don't apply to me. What do you expect me to do? Now read verse 13. Listen to what Mordecai said to Hatach to go back and tell her.
Verse 13. Then Mordecai commanded to answer Esther, think not with thyself that thou shalt escape in the king's house more than all the Jews.
Y'all hear that? Mordecai said, don't think that you're going to escape this curse being in the king's house. You think just like Dr. King or Malcolm X or who's the one, Jesse Jackson, that just died. You think because you are close to the white man, you think because you live in his court, you think because you got power, because you have a title that gives you power, a mayor, the first black mayor, the first black this, the first black that. You think that means that you are going to escape the judgment that they're going to do to your people. You are not. You're still a nigga. Ain't that what happened to OJ? He found that out. He said, well, I ain't black, I'm OJ. That nigga went to jail like any black man in America.
Right.
You think that being closer to your oppressor is guaranteeing your safety, and it doesn't. That's what Mordecai told his cousin Esther. Keep going.
Verse 14. For if thou altogether holdest thy peace at this time, then shall their enlargement and deliverance arise to the Jews from another place. But thou and thy father's house shall be destroyed. And who knoweth whether thou art come to the kingdom for such a time as this?
Listen, how do you know that this isn't the place that you're supposed to be to help your people? That's what Mordecai, this is his response. So he's not talking to Esther face to face. He's telling Matak, he's like, go to her and tell her these words. So just remember that. This is what he's telling Esther. Go to, is this what she said? Go to her and tell her this.
Hatach.
It's like Hatach. Esther, baby girl, listen, you are going to die in your father's house if you don't do something about the condition of your people where you are right now. You think because you're not in there with the king now that you can't help your people. You can help your people where you are right now. That's what Esther is like, man, I'm not there with the king. I don't have any ability or any power to go and help my people. I live here. I'm here. He put me. Remember, Xerxes put Esther in a bed chamber, not a bed chamber, but imagine a fancy hotel that belongs to just her. That's what he did for her. So she's living in one of his chambers, and she has maids and chamberlains to wait on her and to give her things. Now he's saying this is her uncle or this is her a cousin. Mordecai is like, well, listen, don't think that where you live now it means that you can't help your people. You can help your people where you are right now. Keep going.
Verse 15. Then Esther bade them return Mordecai this answer. Verse 16. Go gather together all the Jews that are present in Shushan, and fast ye for me, and neither eat nor drink 3 days, nights or day.
So like y'all read it, go ahead, eat to our right. This brother this is Esther chapter 4. Shalom, sis. Shalom. This is Esther chapter 4 and verse 16. Go gather together all the Jews that are present in Shushan, and fast ye for me, and neither eat nor drink 3 days, night or day. I also and my maidens will fast likewise, and so will I go into the king and unto the king, which is not according to the law. And if I perish, I perish. Now read verse 17, Kunaya.
Verse 17. So Mordecai went his way and did according to all that Esther had commanded him. Chapter 5, Esther chapter 5, verse 1. Now it came to pass on the 3rd day that Esther put on her royal apparel and stood in the inner court of the king's house, over against the king's house.
So like y'all understand what Esther said, right? Esther's response was righteous. She's like, okay, Khan, yes, sir. Right. Like now that you made me understand the importance that I have to my people, now that you made me realize that I don't have to be living in the king's house. I don't have to become his rib. I don't have to be living with him in his bed chamber in order to help my people. I understand that I can absolutely help my people where I am now. And that's what she went to do, which is why I said, if I perish, I perish. Because they know that this king is so cruel and so evil and vile towards us that just her simply requesting him to stop, just her requesting this king to rescind his order of killing us, the Jews, that it could mean costing her life. And she told Mordecai, listen, all right, I got you. I hear you loud and clear. I'm going to go in there and ask him this thing. And if I die, I die. That's righteousness right there. This sister isn't just going to lay down and die. She's not going to just say, well, I'm going to just continue to watch the suffering of my people while I live in the king's courthouse. That's not how she's thinking. After talking to Mordecai, she's like, okay, yes, sir. Remember, he raised her like his own daughter. Remember that. The Bible says he raised her like his own daughter. This is his cousin, but he's her big cousin. And because she lost her parents, he became her parents. So he raised her up in the laws of the Most High with righteousness. It's in the Bible. It's in Esther, the 1st chapter. And so she's like, okay, yes, sir. So this is a father-son dynamic. I mean, a father-daughter dynamic. And she's like, yes, sir. If I'm going to go in there and I'm going to ask this thing, and if I die, I die. If I perish, I perish. She's willing to put her life on the line for her people. This is why she celebrated these 2 days. This is the reason why we have the Feast of Purim these 2 days, because of the risk and the sacrifice that this sister was willing to make along with Mordecai so that we don't perish anymore. Go ahead, Cornelia.
I'll read that first one again, sir. Esther chapter 5, verse 1. Now it came to pass on the 3rd day that Esther put on her royal apparel and stood in the inner court of the king's house, over against the king's house. And the king sat upon his royal throne in the royal house, over against the gate of the house. Verse 2. And it was so, when the king saw Esther the queen standing in the court, that she obtained favor in his sight. And the king held out to Esther the golden scepter that was in his hand. So Esther drew near and touched the top of the scepter. Verse 3. Then said the king unto her, what wilt thou, Queen Esther? And what is thy request? It shall be given thee to the half of the kingdom. Verse 4. And Esther answered, if it seem good unto the king, let the king and Haman come this day unto the banquet that I have prepared for him. Verse 5. Then the king said, because Haman make haste, cause Haman to make haste, that he may do as Esther hath said. So the king and Haman So the king and Haman came to the banquet that Esther had prepared. Verse 6. And the king said unto Esther, at the banquet of wine, what is thy petition? And it shall be granted thee. And what is thy request? Even to the half of the kingdom, it shall be performed. Verse 7. Then answered Esther and said, my petition and my request is. Verse 8. If I have found favor in the sight of the king, and if it pleases the king to grant my petition and to perform my request, let the king and Haman come to the banquet that I shall prepare for them, and I will do tomorrow as the king has said. Verse 9. Then went Haman forth that day joyful and with a glad heart. But when Haman saw Mordecai in the king's gate, that he stood not up nor moved for him, he was full of indignation against Mordecai. Verse 10. Nevertheless, Haman refrained himself, and when he came home, he sent and called for his friends and Zeresh his wife. Verse 11. And Haman told them of the glory of his riches and the multitude of his children and all the things wherein the king had promoted him, and how he had advanced him above the princes and servants of the king. Verse 12. Haman said, moreover, yea, Esther, the queen, did let no man come in with the king unto the banquet that she had prepared but myself.
Okay, now I want you to skip ahead. I want you to go to, let's go to 7, right? Go to chapter 7 and start at verse 1. So the whole thing is describing the banquet. So they had a feast, another banquet, right? Esther, Xerxes, Haman, and Mordecai. They had this feast, and at this feast, Esther is there very subtly discussing to the king why he should save the Jews. Remember, as a woman, she's not going in there as a man. You need to stop this. She's using her femininity and using her sweet voice and her kind nature as a woman to persuade this man to stop this ordinance of killing us.
Right.
Read chapter 7, verse 1.
This is the book of Esther, chapter 7, verse 1. So the king and Haman came to the banquet with Esther the queen. Verse 2. And the king said again unto Esther on the second day at the banquet of wine, what is thy petition, Queen Esther? And it shall be granted thee. And what is thy request? And it shall be performed even to the half of the kingdom. Verse 3. Then Esther the queen answered and said, if I have found favor in thy sight, O king, and if it please the king, let my life be given me at my petition, and my people at my request. Verse 4. For we are sold, I and my people, to be destroyed, to be slain, and to perish. But if we have been sold for bondmen and bondwomen, I had held my tongue, although the enemy could not countervail the king's damage. Verse 5. Then the king Ahasuerus answered and said unto Esther the queen, who is he and where is he that durst presume in his heart to do so? And Esther said, the adversary and enemy is this wicked Haman. Then Haman was afraid before the king and the queen.
So now he's like, okay, tell me, who is the one that's evil? See, before, and this is just like some old dummy that doesn't deserve to be in charge.
Right.
This cat Xerxes, he's just ruled by lust and emotion. And a man, you can't be ruled by neither one, lust or emotion. You're not a woman, right? You have to be ruled by logic and what's right and what's wrong, what's lawful and unlawful. That's how you're supposed to make decisions, not based off some woman whispered in your ear telling you something. That's how Samson got caught up too.
Right.
By emotion and lust. Like, come on now, are you a man? As a man now, you can't be foolish and let this woman talk you into Now, I'm not saying Xerxes was foolish for letting the woman talk him into this, but I'm making the point that Xerxes goes one way or the other based on lust or money, based on emotion, money, lust. Like this cat here, remember, Haman was able to get in his head by just giving him money. He said, I'll pay you this much money. I'm going to kill everybody. We're going to kill the Jews. And that cat went for it. Now he's listening to this woman who's saying Haman is the problem, and he's going to kill Haman. Like this cat is just, you don't want to be that way as a man. As a man, you're ruled by your logic, what's lawful, not how you feel, not what looks good, not what makes you feel good. You be ruled by what is right and what is wrong. That's all. Keep going, Q. And so if I make Salakia, so Esther told him, Esther said, well, Haman is the demon. He's the devil. Haman is the problem. He's evil and wicked. That's what Esther said. Keep going.
Verse 7. And the king arose from the banquet of wine in his wrath, went into the palace garden. And Haman stood up to make a request for his life to Esther the queen. For he saw that there was evil determined against him by the king. Verse 8. Then the king returned out of the palace garden to the place of the banquet of wine. And Haman was fallen upon the bed whereon Esther was. Then said the king, will he force the queen also before me in the house? As the word went out of the king's mouth, they covered Haman's face. Verse 9. And Harbonah, one of the chamberlain, said before the king, behold also the gallows 50 cubits high, which Haman had made for Mordecai, who had spoken good for the king.
Good night. So here they are. This cat Haman, this is so heavy. This right here is heavy. Be quiet. This cat here, Haman, he made the gallows for Mordecai to hang from.
God.
This cat Haman's plan was for, and remember, all of this was simply for the pure hatred of the Israelites because Mordecai didn't bow to Haman. That's how foolish this was. Ignorant. Be quiet. This is how foolish this was. He made gallows for this brother Mordecai to hang from, and now Haman, the same gallows that he made for Mordecai to hang from, now he's about to hang from.
Right.
That's called power, young man. That's why it's important to serve the Most High God. That's why it's important to obey the Lord, because the Lord will fight for you. Remember, this cat Haman made the gallows for the brother Mordecai to hang from. Well, guess what? With the obedience to the Lord, this cat Haman now is going to hang from these same gallows. That's going to be the fate of our oppressor in this kingdom. The same oppression they use to kill us, like Planned Parenthood, like the dirty water in Mississippi. I don't think Flint, Michigan, or Mississippi has clean drinking water, right? And hasn't had clean drinking water. The same forms of oppression they use to kill us and hurt us, they're going to die from the same thing. I don't know if COVID-19 was a virus that was made to kill us. I don't know. I don't know if it was even man-made. Who knows? I know this, that the same thing that our oppressor, the devices they use to unalive us, hurt us, that's going to be their fate before Christ returns. That's going to be their fate. They made these gallows for him to hang from. Now he's going to die being hanged from those same gallows simply because he hated God's chosen people.
Right.
Simply because he was trying to oppress God's chosen people. And now a righteous man, a man named Mordecai, who fought for his people through raising up a righteous girl named Esther to help her people. Now they're going to use the power from the Most High God to eradicate their enemy and the enemy of their people. That's heavy, brother. That's absolutely heavy. This is called real power. Mordecai didn't have to pass a law. Esther didn't have to write anything in the law. They obeyed the Lord and remembered where they came from. And now the bastard who was going to hang him is set to be hanged. Go ahead, Cornaya.
God, just if I could, though, I just want it to be known.
Oh, please, go ahead.
That he made these gallows 50 cubits high. That's 75 feet.
Yeah.
So he was planning on hanging him for a display.
Salakia, how high are the ones that back in the day? How high was those back in the gallows back in the day?
I believe roughly 25 feet. Maybe.
25 feet. Damn.
75 is
that's
extreme.
Yeah, though. That's like a 7-story building.
Right, yeah.
Like you said, it was actually absolutely, that was a good point. That was a heavy point. Yeah. He was hanging this cat. He was going to hang Mordecai for a display. As a warning to the other Israelites to say, this is what happens when you don't do what we tell you to do.
Right.
He was going to be the literal linchpin for the rest of us. So to show us what you better never do. You understand? Go ahead, keep reading.
Oh God. And the gallows 50 the gallows 50 cubits high, which Haman had made for Mordecai, who had spoken good for the king, standing in the house of Haman. Then the king said, hang him thereon. Verse 10. So they hung Haman on the gallows that he had prepared for Mordecai. Then was the king's wrath pacified.
They hanged Haman. This king wanted to kill somebody, which is what it's saying, like his wrath was pacified, meaning this king Xerxes wanted to unalive somebody. He was either going to hang Haman or he was going to hang Mordecai. But because of the righteousness of a Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian woman, because she wasn't, well, where you been? Well, how long? Do you think this king would have listened to a crazy bitch like that? That's sitting there yelling and loud in his face, wondering where he's been, clocking him all day long. Why you haven't called me? Why you haven't been there? Why you? She's sitting there, sweet, delicate, tender, smelling, excuse me, smelling good. Salaki, you know, Salaki, you know she was smelling good. She was looking good. It says so in the Bible. She's sitting there smelling good, looking good, and now he's listening to her because of the way she carried herself. Sister, that's how you keep a man. First, that's how you get a man, and that's how you keep a man. By simply being delicate and sweet and kind and tender. This sister got a king and didn't have to have sex with him. That's what's so heavy. Like, I think y'all missing that part. She didn't have sex with this either. She simply was just bad as hell. And because the way she carried, and when I say bad, I don't mean big breasts and big behind. Like so many airheaded women think today. Like, if I get a BBL, that's going to keep a man. It's not. Your behavior keeps a man. The way you carry yourself, your spirit, your countenance, that's what keeps a man. And so because she had the beauty on top of the brains and her decorum, that's now it gets the attention of this man. And all he's doing is sitting there listening to her. He's listening to what she's saying because he wants to get with her. He wants to bed her. And now he's like, okay, what's going on? Who do I need to kill? Who do I need to save? And he's already angry. He's already wanting to hang somebody. That's why they had the gallows built. But he killed the man that thought he was going to unalive us, that thought he was going to unalive Mordecai. And the king's anger was pacified, meaning what? It's settled now. He's satisfied with that. He saw this bastard Haman be hanged. He was like, shit, somebody was going to get hanged. It's like a father, your father being angry. Somebody's got to get punished. Now, if your father's anger is pacified, meaning that no matter, somebody got punished, whether it was who he wanted to get punished or who he didn't want to get punished, somebody got punished. So now it's like, okay, fine. The lesson has been taught. Now I can go about my day. That was this King Xerxes. His anger was pacified. Somebody was going to hang from those gallows, whether it was Mordecai or whether it was Haman. Somebody was going to hang that day. Haman didn't think it was going to be him. He's the one who built the gallows for Mordecai. Now he's swinging from a goddamn gallows, all because of his hatred for the children of Israel. That is the fate of our oppressor. Mm-hmm. That's the fate of Donald Trump. He hates Issachar so much. He hates the tribe of Judah so much. He hates the Israelites so much that he's looking to persecute us any way he can. Donald Trump better be careful. Those police officers who unalive our brothers and sisters, they better be careful. Those ICE agents who persecute the tribe of Issachar, the tribes of Asher, the tribes of Ephraim and Manasseh and Zebulun, they better be careful because the same devices they use to persecute us, they're going to be persecuted with those same devices. Right. That's the Bible. That's what we're reading about right now. This bastard who hated us, who wanted to unalive us, he's hanging from the tree or the gallows that he was going to slew Mordecai from. All because he wanted to unalive us, because this brother didn't bow down to him. Brother, this oppressor better be careful. And listen, this is something that's so spiritual. Donald Trump, Israel, and now they trying to say Saudi Arabia. I don't believe that. I do not believe for 1 second, maybe, but I just don't believe anything that comes out of anybody in his cabinet's mouth. Because once America and Israel launched that attack against Iran, now when they're being interviewed by the press 3 days later, all of a sudden, Saudi Arabia has something to do with it.
Right.
Now, all of a sudden, Saudi Arabia wanted Iran to be bombed. Maybe it's true. I don't know. But this is what I do know. Saudi Arabia, Israel, and America, according to America, were all in agreement with those bombings on Iran Saturday morning. Right? They were all in accordance. They were all in agreement. They all launched or contributed in some way for Iran's Ayatollah Ali Khamenei to be killed with his family and his top generals. That's what I do know, right? Here's what's so heavy. America, Israel, and Saudi Arabia, they all were in cahoots with this bombing. They all launched strikes against Iran. Now, Iran is going after the water infrastructure over there in the Middle East. They're going after America's military bases, and they're going after what's the third thing? The energy sector over there in the UAE, the United Arab Emirates, Dubai. Which, by the way, before this, I didn't know how important Dubai was to the world's capital. I didn't know that, right? I didn't know Dubai controlled all of the goddamn business that flowed through and out. I didn't know the Straits of Hormuz was that damn important. This war is teaching me, goddamn, the Straits of Hormuz was that important to the world's capital, the world's infrastructure, whether it's oil, whether it's energy, whether it's technology. The Straits of Hormuz is that important. Iran shut down the Straits of Hormuz like they knew they would. Here's what they didn't know. They didn't know that Iran had been stockading those drone strike missiles for the last 15 years. Just to put this into perspective, one of those drone strike missiles that Iran is using to strike these to launch these drone strikes against, those missiles are only $30,000 to $50,000 a missile. A drone, I'm gonna call them drones. They're $30,000 to $50,000 per drone. According to the news, Iran has been manufacturing 800 of those missiles every day for the last 15 years.
Good night.
Every day for the last 15 years, Iran has been planning, waiting, and manufacturing. It's either 80 or 800 of those drone strike missiles every day for the last 15 years.
Either way, that's a lot.
That's what I said. $30,000 to $50,000 per missile, per drone. America, their defense against those are what they call interceptor missiles. One of those missiles are $1 million. And America has already lost a third of them in the strike against them on Saturday morning. Brother, our oppressor, the same device that he has used against us, and when I say device, I don't mean the missiles. Forget about the missiles. Think about the concept. Our oppressor has had us in captivity for what, 400 years? And they've studied us. They've waited to unalive us. Like, think about how our oppressor knows Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. They know our likes. They know our dislikes. They know what will get us to get high. They know us intricately. They know us. That's why they're so good at oppressing us. Our oppressor has met an enemy who knows him and who's been waiting on him and who planned for their Ayatollah to die. Did y'all know that? America didn't know that. That's why Donald Trump is. Did y'all see him scared to death in the goddamn? You saw him? He's scared to death because apparently allegedly Donald Trump didn't know that Israel was going to kill Iran's Ayatollah. They didn't know that. He didn't know that. And the intel that Donald Trump received from his secretary his secretary of war, that dummy Pete Hegseth, that was not included. So Donald Trump didn't know that Israel was going to kill the Ayatollah. They just thought they were going to shake him up a little bit. He was just going to be the Italian mob boss that he is, and all. You niggas stay in line. He went over there and started World War III, and he didn't know what he done until now. And because the people that he is enemies with have watched him and have studied him, they have unleashed an economic disaster that cannot ever go back. You have most experts that are experts in economy or economics and socio-political geopolitics. They all conclude that what Donald Trump did Saturday morning is the beginning of the end. They said that this isn't like Commander Yahanna brought out that something so heavy. I have never seen my short time in the truth media call it World War III. They always just say this is a proxy war. The media is referring to it as the I.S.U.P.K has always referred to it, World War III. And so now they're saying this is the start. They admit this is the beginning of World War III. And that, what was my last point? This is the beginning of World War III. And that Iran has studied America the same way China has. I'm not going to include Russia. Russia let me down now. Russia, brother, I don't know what the hell they doing over there in Russia. They let me the hell down now. The way these Ukrainians are going toe-to-toe with them, I'm taking Russia. All those movies y'all grew up with in the 80s with Drago and the Russian bears, and y'all thought the Russians were so tough and so they were the gods of conventional warfare. Those Russians are getting their ass beat by Ukrainian grandmothers right now. So I'm taking Russia off the table. But China, Iran, they have been studying America for the last, 20 years? China, the last 50 years. And they've studied them. And they see their likes. They see their dislikes. They see what the white man here in America, they see how easily swayed white people are with racism. That's why they voted Donald Trump in office. So what's the point? My point is, just like how Haman built those gallows to hang Mordecai, America have used these devices against Blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians to oppress us. Now the hunter is becoming the hunted. Now the oppressor who waited and lied, the Bible said he lied and wait for them. He's lied and wait for us to oppress us. Now he's found a better match. He's found somebody that can go toe-to-toe with him. 800 drone strike missiles manufactured every day for 15 years. Not only did Black people here in America very ignorantly, people in America, not just Black people, but the reason I said Black people is because that's who I talk to mostly. I hear a lot of Americans Saturday, when we went out there to do those interviews, a lot of Americans were like, oh, this was a quick strike. This ain't nothing. What America did to Iran, it ain't nothing. They always do it all the time in the Middle East. It was just like an everyday business, Quinaya. When you talk to the average American Saturday, remember I said Saturday. When you talk to the average American Saturday, they were like, oh, it's sad what America did, but this ain't nothing. This ain't nothing. Iran, they killed the Ayatollah. They killed their top generals. There's nothing that Iran can do to stop the most powerful military in the world. Ooh. But boy, by today, what's today? Tuesday, March the 3rd, they're changing their tune now. Mm-hmm. Now they see with the gas going up 10 cents every day for until this ends, with gas going up 10 cents a day, with not Saudi Arabia, Dubai, with Iran launching those missiles against Dubai and hitting their infrastructure, closing the Straits of Hormuz, they said this is an economic disaster. If anyone studies the white man, which is why I brought this up, if anybody studies the white man, the most important thing to him is his money. His money is being hurt. This is the beginning of the end. You thought, y'all, I had to walk y'all around because y'all was thinking, oh, where's he going? Y'all, you think that losing lives hurts white people. If Iran sunk all of America's Navy, America wouldn't have cared because the white man doesn't care about life. He's in the Epstein files, killing babies. The white man doesn't care about racial loyalty. He don't care about white, black. He don't care about none of that. The white man cares about one thing and one thing only, and it's his money. And the Iranians studied that for the last 15 years. So the first thing they've done, the very first thing they've done was strike economic. Every strike they hit was an economic hit. An economic. Look up all the bases and everything that the Iranians hit. Just look it up. Everything they hit, economics. It hurts America's economic one way or the other. Economic. The white man has done, Donald Trump, the white man has done something that he didn't predict would happen. He didn't predict that a nation would make them be hurt financially in war. And that's what's going on right now. Those gallows that Haman had put up for Mordecai, they hanged him, Haman, with it. The same money that our oppressor loved so much and used as the catalyst to oppress us is the same thing that the Iranians and the Chinese are going to use against America to drain America, to hurt America, to oppress America. Go ahead, Quinaya. You had something you want to say?
Just want to correct what I said earlier about normal gallows. They were like 10 to 15 feet. Mm-hmm. And then also, they just did a calculation on what the wars is gonna cost. This ain't even including those spots they hit. Mm-hmm. 210 billion. That's estimated. That's what it's estimated to cost. 210 billion.
And this is in 3 days.
Oh, true.
This is in 3 days.
3 days, yeah.
Brother, if this lasts all year, you can only imagine the condition of America. Yeah. You can only imagine. Right? Now let's finish it off. Now let's go to 8 and 8. I'm sorry, no, not 8 and 8. Okay, go to 9 and 1. Let's finish it off. Let's end the Feast of Purim right. All right. This is we're gonna read now. This is how you got the Feast of Purim. All right, go ahead.
This is Esther chapter 9, verse 1. Now in the 12th month, that is the month Adar, on the 13th day of the same, when the king's commandment and his decree drew near to be put in execution, in the day that the enemies of the Jews hoped to have power over them, though it was turned to the contrary, that the Jews had ruled over them that hated them. Verse 2, the Jews gathered themselves together in their cities throughout all the province of the king Ahasuerus, to lay hands on such as sought their hurt, and no man could withstand them, for the fear of them fell upon all people. Verse 3, and all the rulers of the province, and the lieutenants, and the deputies, and officers of the king helped the Jews, because their fear of Mordecai fell upon them.
Now go down to verse 5.
Verse 5. Thus the Jews smote all their enemies with the stroke of the sword.
Brother, we unalived all the people who tried to unalive us, right? It started with Haman, with that King Xerxes unaliving Haman by the gallows, by hanging him. That is what sparked the whole thing. And then we just continue to go and unalive more enemies, and unalive more enemies, and unalive more enemies with the stroke of a sword. And now you unalive all your enemies. What you do now? Now you celebrate. After you unalive all the people that sought to unalive you, now you celebrate. This is what Purim is. And this is what's so heavy and the opposite of Christianity. This is in contrast to the Christian church about love, and God is all love and kind. Brother, our high holy days are because our enemies are dead.
Right.
Because we slaughtered our enemies with the help of our God.
That's right.
It don't have nothing to do with loving everybody, kissing everybody. The reason why we are here for Purim, for Hanukkah, for Passover, April 4th, is because our enemies are dead. Because God slaughtered our enemies and we slew them. That's the reason why we're celebrating. We're Kwam Yashala and drinking, and La Yashala and marching and drinking, all because our enemies were slain by the hands of our sword, by the tip of a sword, by our hands, by the hands of the Most High God. It's not because we hugged them and we all came together and were equal. It's because we slew our enemies for trying to hurt us. That's why we're celebrating Purim. That's why we're celebrating Hanukkah. That's why we celebrate Passover. That's the reason why we do it, because we're commemorating our effort in slaying our enemies so that our people could live, so that we can receive justice. That's what we're doing here today. Now, skip me to verse 27, Kunaya.
Verse 27?
Yeah, 9 and 27.
Kanawakai, sir. Esther chapter 9, verse 27. The Jews ordained and took upon them, and upon their seeds, and upon all such as joined themselves unto them, so as it should not fail, that they would keep these 2 days according to their writings, and according to their appointed times every year.
This is why we're here. These 2 days is speaking about Purim. That's why we're here. We're here to celebrate what our forefathers did during the time of our Persian captivity, with slaying the people who tried to come against us, our enemies. Get the security announcements ready, Kunaya.
It's a lot here.
You want me to send it to you again?
You sent it to me yesterday?
No, Elisha may have. I'll send it to you now. The Most High God brought us here and made sure that we remembered the day. This was 2,000 years ago? This was before Christ. This was more than 2,000 years ago. The Most High God made sure that we remember the effort of strong men and strong sisters. Most High Christ, strong sisters like Esther and a strong brother like Mordecai. And that's the reason why. You got a question? What's your question?
Is the water falling off?
Say it again.
Is the water falling off?
Is the water?
Yeah.
Is the water for who?
So the water falling off?
Say, I don't understand you.
You said, did the world blow up?
No, I said the water fall off.
Did the water fall off?
Yeah.
What you mean, did the water fall off?
So you drift in the water.
Who slipped in the water? Well, I'm gonna tell you this: the white man is gonna slip. I'm gonna tell you this: give him a hand. The white man is gonna slip on his own blood when Christ returns. Our oppressor, and in the kingdom of heaven, we're gonna have a new high holy day where we celebrate the slaughter of our enemies. Our oppressor is gonna slip not on water, son. He gonna slip on his own blood. There's gonna be so much blood here because Christ is gonna unalive so many white people in America and on this earth that have sinned against God and have slaughtered God's people. This oppressor have been a terrible power, and he has absolutely been cruel to us. And because of that, God is going to give us justice for it. God is going to give blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians justice for the cruelty we suffered under our oppressor. Our oppressor ain't going to slip on water, but he absolutely will fall and slip on the blood of his own self because he's been cruel to us, because he has unalived us, because he has separated our families, enslaved us, and destroyed us. Our oppressor will meet his match. He will meet his match. It ain't the Iranians. It ain't the Russians. It ain't the Chinese. They're going to hurt him, but they won't hurt him the way God is going to hurt them when Christ returns. Go ahead. You had a question? Go ahead. Yes. Give me that if you don't mind, Kunaya Gabar, in the book of Revelations real quick. Give me that that the blood shall reach the horse's bridle. You seen horses, I know, son. You remember how high? Remember when we were in Louisiana and you remember seeing Showtime? Oh, you may have been a little younger. You was about his age. There are horses that are 18 hands tall, and their reins are what's inside that bit that's in his mouth. Those reins extend from that bit that you hold when you ride the horse. If the horse's mouth is 18 hands high, the blood that's going to reach the horse's bridle, that's how high it's going to be, how deep it's going to be. That blood is going to be coming from the blood of our oppressor, because our King Christ is going to slay him for his cruelty against us. And then in the kingdom of heaven, not only will we celebrate Purim, the slaughter of the Assyrians for trying to unalive us, Not only will we celebrate Hanukkah, the slaughter of the Greeks who tried to oppress us, not only will we celebrate the Passover, the slaughter of the Egyptians who oppressed us, we're going to celebrate a new high holy day then. We're going to celebrate the slaughter of the white man for oppressing us and being so cruel to us. You got that, Kodaya? It's in Revelations.
I'm in Revelations, but I can't.
The horse's bridle. Look up horse's bridle.
I did. It didn't pop up.
The Bible says that the blood is going to reach the horse's bridle. Yeah, I'll get it for you right now. Say it again, sis.
I think it's Revelation 14 and 20.
Revelations 14 and 20. Yeah, let's go to it, Sister Water. Get it, Sister Hand. Most High Christ. See, that's how you be like Esther. Out of side.
Yeah,
Revelation 14 and 20. Okay, please go ahead. It's Revelation chapter 14, verse 20. And then we're gonna get out of here.
Verses like Revelation chapter 14, verse 20. And the winepress was trodden without the city, and blood came out of the winepress, even until the horse's bridle.
That's how much our oppressor is going to pay for what he's done to our people. That's what we're celebrating today. We're celebrating the blood of the Assyrians who tried, and the Jewish man, the so-called Jewish man, Haman, who tried to unalive our people, who tried to oppress our people. We're celebrating that tonight. And tonight is the closing of that celebration, the Feast of Purim. And tonight, gloriously, for the last over 2,000 years, remember, this is something that's been in our culture since Esther and since Mordecai. And it's going to remain in our culture until we get to the kingdom of heaven, brothers and sisters. That's what we're working for now. Right now, you know what high holy day we're working towards? We're working towards celebrating the day that our oppressor here in America is unalive. Right. That's what we're working for, right? That's what we're working towards right now. And the only way we continue to work towards that goal is if you put down the sin that has captivated you in this captivity, in this slavery. Put down that sin, come back to the Most High God, turn away from our wicked ways, and the Most High God will absolutely save us the way he did it during the time of Esther, during the time of Judas Maccabees, during the time of Moses, during the times of hard times of oppression from other races of people. The Lord have always came through and saved us. Today makes no difference. The Lord will save us in 2026, but you have to be willing to give up your sin and your love for your oppressor. And then one day we're going to celebrate in the kingdom of heaven the day that our oppressor was slaughtered. We're going to be teaching our kids stories about, man, I remember the white Donald Trump. We're going to teach them about Donald Trump in the kingdom of heaven and how he had us in slavery and how he was cruel to the Mexicans. And we're going to celebrate, just like we celebrate the death of Haman, we're going to celebrate the death of Donald Trump in the kingdom of heaven and of all of the oppressors in the kingdom of heaven. Go ahead, Kunaya.
I was going to say, so like the general said, we have a museum.
Oh, yeah. It's going to have white people in the museum, and we're going to say, this was a white man. Right. This was Donald Trump. They don't exist no more, but this is who they used to be. God. That's what we're working towards now. So with that, I pass the class over to Priest and Officer Kunaya Yakabal.
These are I.S.U.P.K security announcements. We are the I.S.U.P.K, started out at 1 West 125th Street in Harlem, New York. Rule for a new brother or sister. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves of the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to the brother or sister. There is another 6 months in which the brother or sister will court each other. After this 6 month period, the brother or sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment. Numbers 18:21, Malachi 3, verses 8 through 10. My I.S.U.P.K, which means 10th in Hebrew. 10% of every penny of increase the Lord gives you. Give to the treasury department of teacher. Priest fund, which is a free will offering for priests, not mandatory. Give whatever so amount you would like. Upcoming holy convocation, the Lord's Passover, which is April 4th. Be there or be square. It is the only Passover, the official Passover of the Lord's. With that being said, Amajim, which means to stand. Oh. We're gonna give one courtesy salute to the brothers. Amajim Shabbat. Barak, Amajim, Barak.
Yahanna Shemel Shah, brother Thumb.
Sar.
No, Yajimatah.
Yajimatah, Salaki. Sar, which means to turn, face the sisters. We're gonna give one courtesy
Men of
salute.
Israel.
Men of Israel. Turn and face the sisters. We're gonna give one courtesy salute to the sisters. Men of Israel. Amajim Shabbat. Amajim, Barak.
Yahweh Shamar Alafan by Shem Yahushua.
Yahweh Shamar Alafan by Shem Yahushua.
Yajimatah, dismissed.
Shalom, Israel. It's that time again. The I.S.U.P.K. under Commanding General Yahanna presents the Lord's 57th Annual Passover. That's right, the Lord's 57th Annual Passover, April 4th, 2026 in Houston, Texas. All Black, Hispanics, and Native Americans are commanded to observe the Lord's Passover. This will be the biggest Passover to date. You do not want to miss this. Fresh lamb, fresh wine, and bitter herbs as commanded by the Most High. Only $200 per person ages 17 and up. The biggest event of the year. There is only one Passover, and it's under Commanding General Yahanna. See you there, Israel. Shalom.
Nobody else there to compare to. Train for war, men of war, and warlike apparel. Prefer our leaders, can't get between us. Watch where you stepping.